Good evening. I'm Rick Epstein, and we're here tonight to celebrate Jewish Family Service and to honor legendary rabbi and social activist Rabbi Herbert Brockman. In the course of this evening, you're going to see numerous programs, little snippets, that will show you what Jewish Family Service does and how we impact the entire community, from young people to our seniors. You're also going to see a couple wonderful musical clips by two just outstanding groups that really will have you rocking and rolling. And finally, we will also see tributes to Rabbi Brockman in the course of the evening, along with Rabbi Brockman towards the end. However, before we get to Rabbi Brockman, we also will have a period of time where we will have a wish list, which we will show you what the money that we can raise does with Jewish Family Service. So we're looking forward to this tonight. It should be an outstanding evening. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful CEO of Jewish Family Service, Amy Rashba. Amy?
Thank you, Rick. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you this evening. We are so thrilled to be honoring Rabbi Brockman tonight and to be sharing the impact JFS has in the lives of so many in our community. Our honoree epitomizes the values of tikkun olam, repairing the world, and that is the heart of JFS. Each person has a hand in making the world better, and Rabbi Brockman personifies this. I also want to take a moment now to acknowledge three very important individuals who were to be honored at last year's spring event, but unfortunately, it was canceled due to the pandemic. I want to thank Debbie and Rick Epstein and Betsy Flaherty for their unending commitment and dedication to JFS. And now, please sit back and enjoy as we share our first program to be highlighted this evening. Make sure you stay on until the very end, because our guest of honor, Rabbi Brockman, will be speaking live. We invite you to have a glass of your favorite beverage ready to join us later for a very special toast. Thanks so much.
A common misconception about who our clients are. I think people, first of all, may think they're all homeless, which they're not, or all unemployed, which they're not. They are down on their luck for a whole host of reasons, and sometimes we know the reasons and sometimes we don't. We do get to know them and we say, "How are you?" or "How are you feeling?" and wait to listen to the answer. We have turned us ostensibly into Peapod for everybody. And so Sandy, our director, has developed a shopping list for all of our clients. And every month they would get essentially the same amount of food and the same items. Some are very particular and very specific. And so we try to accommodate that. So it's a whole list of things that people may or may not want. And to the extent that we can, accommodate that, we do. Low salt, high fiber, high protein. They look at cholesterol. They look at if things are kosher. People have gluten sensitivities or celiac and they eat gluten-free. We have people who are vegan. That's always, we have people who have no teeth and they need soft foods. We have people who live in a hotel across the street and they only have a microwave. They may have young kids. A lot of people know about us and they like the client choice aspect of it because you don't just drive up and get a bag of whatever. They're no different than you or I. In their life situation right now is harder perhaps, but they have families and they have friends and they have heartache and they have, they tell jokes. They say thank you and they say how they appreciate being treated with dignity. if they have problems that we don't personally help with in the pantry, we can refer them upstairs to JFS. Getting to know clients on a personal level, I think makes them feel comfortable coming here. It's not an easy thing to admit, I would imagine, that you need help and to ask for it and to come here and be treated with dignity the way we try to, I think makes it easier. It varies. It varies on what's going, based on what's going on in the world too. COVID was really hard for people. We also have emergencies come in and they're not technically our clients, but they're hungry. They want us to know that what we do matters. I always feel like it matters and I always feel like it makes a difference and that we're providing people with something that's necessary. It's the personal connection that we make with our clients. It helps everybody. It makes me look forward to coming in once a week. It makes them feel good about coming here, which is, I would imagine, not an easy thing to do fundamentally, but it makes them feel okay about it because they know they're welcome. They know they're going to be treated with dignity and with integrity, and we know them.
When I first began at Congregation Mishkan Israel, people would consistently tell me that I have such big shoes to fill. And I would tell them there is no way that I could ever fill Rabbi Herb Brockman's shoes. Over the past 3 years, I have been honored to follow in your footsteps, to walk next to you, to sit across from you, to learn from all of the ways in which you have made both our Jewish community and the broader faith community a better place. I cannot think of a better tribute than to be honored by Jewish Family Services, whose mission is to not only help Jews in our community, but all people who need assistance. On behalf of the CMI community, I wish you a mazel tov. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Herb. You are an amazing colleague, a trusted advisor and friend, a rabbi's rabbi, and I only wish you all the health and mazel in the world on this occasion.
3, 2.
Thank you, Rabbi Immerman, Rabbi Shapiro. We're now going to hear from the Shalom Group, which is adults with developmental differences. And then we're going to be rocked out by the Jeff Fuller Trio. He's been famous all over the world, and he's played with Dizzy Gillespie, among many others. So enjoy the segments.
The Shalom Group's a program that JFS has had. We've had it for probably over 30 years. It's a group that we provide socialization for our members. We also will bring them into JFS and provide other services as they need. So they can get mental health services from us and case management as well. We strive for 2 events a month. So we will normally do one program at JFS where around Purim, we'll do like a Purim event for them where we provide food and activities and different kinds of books. And we will also try to do one event in the community, such as going to a local business, having a pizza party, going bowling, or going to an area synagogue. So we try to provide, and sometimes we're the only provider that's doing anything with them for the holidays. So for a lot of different reasons, some of their families live really far, so they're not going home to families for different holidays. So we try to give them a little glimmer and a little piece of the holiday from their childhood. One of our members recently said, "You're my synagogue." So which to him, this was his holiday experience. This is all they're getting sometimes around any holiday. This is sometimes the biggest thing that happens in their week. So pure social, like beautiful togetherness, community, socialization among the members and connected to us, which is really important.
This year has been tough, but not seeing you and JFS and everyone in person has been the worst. It is so good to be back together.
This group is and always has been so important to me.
One of the logistical pieces of this that's hard is the transportation. And it's actually only gotten more complicated because of COVID, obviously. So there's a huge cost of transportation if we're going anywhere other than JFS. I personally love the Shalom Group. It's one of the most favorite things I've ever done at JFS and I've ever had the chance to do. I think there's a huge need for us as a Jewish agency to provide these programs, both for these members, but also for the whole community, to see that this is our obligation to make sure that everyone has programs and is brought into the larger community. There's many people that don't even know the Shalom Group exists. So I take very seriously that a huge part of my role is just educating the community that these are Jewish young adults to older adults, that they live right here. They're right here in our neighborhood and they're wonderful. And so to talk to people in our community like they're full citizens and full people, it's really a beautiful thing.
How fitting that the Board of Jewish Family Service is giving you the Community Award, Herb. I know a few clergy who have positively impacted the greater New Haven area as you have done and continue to do, along with our mutual friend, Benita Grubbs. You are such a kind and compassionate man, Herb, and you show that also by your thirst for justice, particularly for those who are suffering or hurting and find it difficult to speak for themselves. Amos and Jeremiah are rightly proud of you, as are the congregants of Mishkan Israel and your many friends like myself. Thank you for your witness to the truth and for reaching out to those in need, a virtue so deep and esteemed in your rich Jewish heritage. With love, Peter.
I'm so very pleased to join you in celebrating Rabbi Herbert Brockman. Working with Herb over 2 decades has been a joy for me. At Yale Divinity School, I would consistently tell students that the best clergy person I knew, the wisest clergy person I knew, the person who they needed to get to know and whose model they needed to follow was Rabbi Herb Brockman. It's been fun to watch Herb enter retirement, so-called, to think again about the work of a life. In the work of retirement, Herb has been engaged since the beginning of the pandemic in making sure there was food available for hungry people. As the Black Lives Matter movement kicked into a new stage, Herb was on the streets again, walking with crowds of young people, cheering on the cause of justice and of hope for our society. Herb has continued to gather the clergy community from every faith to make sure that we can offer a witness, a word of hope and of promise to the New Haven and the Connecticut communities. Herb continues to be a model for me, an inspiration, a wise fellow, and I join you in celebrating him today.
I get too hungry for dinner at 8. I like the theater, but I never run late. I never bother with people I hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. I don't like crab games with barons and earls. Won't go to Harlem in ermine and pearls. And I won't dish the dirt with the rest of the girls. And that is why the lady is a tramp. I like the free, fresh wind in my hair, life without care. I'm broke, it's oak, hate California, it's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. like the free, fresh wind in my hair. Life without care. I'm broke, it's oak, hate California, it's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is, that's why the lady is, that's why the lady is a tramp.
Welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed that. We're now going to have two segments, one the Aging Adults program and then the Food for Kids program. The Aging Adults program is a perfect example of how Jewish Family Service does many services at once with different age groups. And so it's particularly interesting. Food for Kids is a supplemental nourishment program that's provided to children in New Haven for weekends. And today we're feeding about 500 children, and we're hoping to continue to grow that at 3 schools. So with that, I'll turn it over.
So the Aging Adult Service program at JFS is primarily a case management program. So the social workers are resource specialists for people who are 60 and over. We are able to provide them with resources such as rides to doctor's appointments, where to go to get home health care, where to get food, or help with utility bills. Sometimes we find people housing, such as referring them to places like the Towers or senior housing in various towns. 2 aspects are intellectual and emotional aspects to the aging process. And with the intellectual side, we have Sydney Perry that comes to the Towers and to other various places and runs discussion groups based on current events or the holiday. People come out in droves to come hear her.
I think it's healthy for people to have an audience while you talk about memories. You know, we say all the time, you know, may your memory be a blessing, right? But they have the chance to do that. And I don't know how often that happens. My hope for the groups that we're doing are that people feel that they have been valued, that their age is sometimes a value for that, but something that people truly want to hear about, and we recognize and honor what they have to share with us. Not only are they showing their interest, but also their wisdom from life. And it was not necessarily Jewish text, but it was always Jewish values. And I think feel very good about themselves, that they are still growing.
And the other aspect is the emotional side, that we have several groups that we facilitate through Zoom right now. One is a caregiver support group that happens twice a month. And there is also Journey Through Grief, a bereavement group for people who have either lost spouses or significant others. And that happens twice a month. Well, there's primarily 2 of the programs that dovetail. One is the mental health program. So if somebody calls looking for the need of counseling services, then we would refer them. And sometimes, when we are assessing and talking with somebody, we might just encourage them to connect with somebody at the counseling services. The other that dovetails with our program is the pantry, and we often refer clients to the pantry to get some assistance on a monthly basis or an emergency basis. People are very grateful for the Shabbat meals. I get thanked for that all the time. That is like a bright moment in their week, and it's something for them to look forward to. One of the things that's also been happening through the Shabbat meals is that interaction that they're getting from the people who are delivering the meals. And they provide the food and the delivery to about 29 clients at this point. Our plan is to expand our program to care management, which is more intensive, hands-on, where we will be doing a lot of the legwork for clients and family members that become very difficult to manage at times. I find working with older adults very enriching, and I feel like I learn a lot from my clients. They have a lot to offer to me. They teach me things that, I walk away and say, I hope I'm just like that when I'm that age.
Good evening. A contemporary rabbi has to work to give unique meaning to that title, rabbi. Now, there are many paths to earning it: community work, pastoral, leadership, ritual, scholarship, social justice. There are so many ways that Rabbi Brockman has given meaning to that title and truly earned it, at the same time that he has nurtured congregation Mishkan Israel and expected and nudged and pushed and risked, and in doing so has raised the bar for the rest of us who aspire to be rabbis. Kivayachol, if one can say it. He has gone beyond 24/7, and he has always done it in those precious words of Judaism. With chen, graciousness, chesed, loving kindness for all people, and rachamim, the mercy without which none of us would survive. He and Ellen could have left New Haven at the end of his tenure at Mishkan Israel, but they chose to stay here. And that is a bracha for us all.
Mazel tov to Rabbi Herbert Brockman, a true mensch, a colleague who took time to send me a handwritten note when I first arrived in the community, who have been a wonderful role model and a wonderful colleague to share so many programs with over the years. I know he pretends that he has retired. I know that he is now busier than ever. And I know that he will continue to push all of us in making our community and our world a better place. Kol hakavod, Rabbi Brockman, and mazel tov to you for the wonderful and well-deserved honor.
I did find a need for family who needed basic stuff like food, clothing, housing, etc. But the thing that hit home to me was the food part. That really touched my heart. And so I started to search around for resources that could provide. And there was this one day that I got this phone call from Debbie Epstein that she had made contact with the food bank, and they referred me to her because they have this program called Food for Kids where they're doing this stuff. I responded to her right away. She was shocked that I responded to her right away. And so it just took right off. And so we started off with 30 bags. Today we receive up to 238 bags of snacks because of the donation. It's not just our school. They have Clinton Avenue School and I think East Rock.
Anytime we have any children who are doing without, it's a sense of urgency for us. So I would say to those families who really depend on the program, it's urgent for them.
When children now don't eat, they can't function. Adults don't eat, they don't function. The children, if they're not eating, if they're not nourished, if they're not full, if they're not, satisfied, they're not gonna function. They're not gonna learn. But the beautiful thing about it, the most interesting thing about it, is that this is food that we're giving to children for themselves, and they feel that sense of ownership. This is what we get, the feedback. It's like, now this is mine. I can bring it home and I can eat it by myself, or I can share it with my brother or my sister the whole idea too, when we started, was to make sure that if there were younger children in the family, that they would all receive a bag.
We want the program to continue. It's helpful, and again, to have this opportunity to give families more is helpful. And like I say, the snacks, we don't have anyone who returns the snacks and say, I just can't use this. So the food is getting in the hands of families and into the bellies of children.
I went to the classrooms with the cart to put the snacks in the cubbies. And so as I stopped and I chat with the classroom a little bit, and somebody said, "Oh, Ms. Heikless has the cart." And I said, "Oh, yes, I have my cart, and everybody's going to get something out of there." So one child said, "Am I going to get something out of there?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "I'm talking about those snack bags." I was so shocked. I said, "Okay, yes, that's what I'm talking about too. You're going to get your own snack bag to take home today."
Hi, this is Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro. What can I say, Rabbi, but thank you. Not only are you an exceptional religious leader, but you have earned a distinguished reputation as an advocate for social justice and interfaith understanding. Your commitment to these issues has enriched the lives of many and fostered better communication and understanding among various community groups. In doing so, you have helped to mold the very character of our community, going a long way in creating an environment of mutual awareness and respect. I have always been intrigued by the path you took to get here today. Originally coming to New Haven to attend Yale Medical School with plans to become a psychiatrist, like 6 generations before. You heard a call for another purpose, and yet you did not leave your original goals behind. Instead, you combined your passions, leading you to a broader worldview. It has been through this holistic view of humanity that you have taught and inspired not only your congregation, but our community as a whole. You have lived and taught through your firm belief that in order to really learn, you must be willing to listen. And while you may not agree, you must respect that there are opinions other than your own. You have inspired hundreds to not only talk about those issues that impact our community, but to act on them as well. Your infinite compassion and commitment to service inspires others to make a difference, a gift that has and continues to enrich the greater New Haven community. Thank you. Thank you for your service, for your spiritual leadership, your friendship, and your unwavering belief in the strength of our community's diversity. I, like so many others gathered today, am honored to call you my friend. My very, very best wishes to you and lots of love.
Welcome back. We're now coming to our last segments of the evening. We're going to start out with the Afro Semitic Jazz Band experience. And they're a rock and fusion jazz band, and I think you'll find this very entertaining. We're then going to get our last 2 programs, which is mental health services and our Holocaust survivors program. And then you'll be back to me after that.
Why don't we come together? Why do we got to fight? Let's be like sis and brother who finally got it right. Let's raise up each other. Black, brown, yellow, blue, white. Cherish all the good life instead of spitting spite. Hide as we can see unity in the community. Go far as we can see unity in the community. Let's all sing it. Unity in the community. distance, easy to chill your heart. We need to come together, we cannot pull apart. Oh, the sun may not be shining, the moon may not be bright, but when we join together, we're moving towards the light. Hey, right as we can see, unity in the community. So far as we can see, unity in the community. Come on now, unity in the community. Unity in the community. Harmony, harmony in the community. Harmony in the community. Blissfully now, blissfully in the community. Joyously, joyously, joyously in the community. Neighborly in the community. Come on now. Royally in the community. Openly, openly in the community. Unity. Oh yeah, in the community. One more time now. Unity, 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 community. Unity in the community. Yeah, 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 yeah. In the community. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the community. Unity in the community.
To me, mental health would refer to people getting comfortable within themselves, finding peace when there's conflict, finding a direction for their lives, improving their self-esteem, feeling good. No matter what the difficulty is, my job would be to reach the problem that they're having and to help them with either accepting something that's chronic or helping them to change something. Everyone is different, and the conflicts or the problems, whether it's with relationships or children, spouses, friends, the problems are very varied. It could be a marital issue, a family issue, how to be more fulfilled in their life.
My husband and I were going through a very difficult time in our lives, even pre-COVID. I reached out to JFS years ago to find resources for an adult child living with us. A JFS social worker was there to help my daughter, and again, when we needed assistance paying utilities, always with a kind, compassionate voice. Now we have turned once again to JFS for marriage counseling. The therapist has been a guiding light. She is an ultimate professional who is also compassionately helping us make sense of our lives. Thank God for JFS.
So at JFS, we're non-denominational. I see all ages, all ethnic backgrounds, different religions, and people of all financial situations, from people who have very little to people who are very financially comfortable. Groups that we've done have been helpful to people because It's so important to know that you're not alone with whatever is going on. We did a group on Zoom recently with 2 therapists and about 8 or 9 people in the group, and they just wanted to continue, and we are going to continue that group. It's so important to hear from other people what's going on in their lives. When people are having a hard time, one of the things that helps, and we all know this, is to be heard, but to be heard in a different way, a way where a friend or a relative might respond with their own situation. If they're heard and understood, it can ease the thing that they're dealing with. It can soften it. It can make them accept it more readily. Psychotherapy is considered a talking therapy. It's about talking. And talking involves listening as well. So the therapist has to be listening in a particular way for a person to talk. And sometimes just saying something makes it different. We know that that's what helps with grief work. And so sometimes things that are hard to accept become a little bit easier when they have an opportunity to talk about it. Having been at JFS for a long time, I've seen clients for short periods of time and long periods of time, some for years. But what I really find satisfying is that when I see someone for just 2 or 3 visits and I say something that they hear in a new way, and they go away having felt like they've gotten what they came for, that's amazing. Sometimes a quick consultation is all someone might need. It feels wonderful when a rabbi calls me and says, I have a congregant that needs help. And I feel good about it, and I feel confident that I can help, because I usually do. And I feel that they appreciate it. That's what we're there for. It's part of community, helping each other.
JFS has a Holocaust program. And sometimes I even tell my friends or tell people, and they're really, and that we are helping over 70, probably closer to 80 survivors in the greater New Haven, Fairfield area. There are even more that don't even know about these programs for different reasons. Really need our support right now, and they really need to be able to live with dignity and as well as they can. So we will meet with them, we'll meet with their family, we will see kind of what they need diagnostically, and then try to help them arrange aids as that makes sense if they don't already have someone, and then kind of continue to monitor them and their progress throughout the year. We are getting requests every day for everything from teeth to hearing aids to basic handles on doors so they don't fall in the shower. The people that have been here not as long struggle financially now tremendously. And I think JFS helps a lot of these people in our community in multiple ways, through the food pantry and through other things. And I think, you know, for a lot of us, hearing that there's Jewish people in our community that are really struggling, it's hard to hear. So sometimes it's easier to look the other way and not deal with that. But they're really, really struggling.
First of all, they drive me anywhere, everywhere. They help me to clean my apartment. They help me to go to the laundry, sometimes to bring me to doctor's office. I'm grateful to Jewish Family Service to give it to me possibility to pay for glasses which I have now.
We want to make sure that they can get to all their doctor's appointments. So if that means me helping them arrange for the doctor's appointments, getting a medical cab back and forth to doctor's appointments, reimbursing for Uber for them, or making sure they have an aide that can legally drive them. I get requests multiple times a week for hearing aids, because even on Medicaid, even with good insurance, even with people that are doing well, a basic hearing aid is $2,000, and that's for one ear. So I oftentimes am paying for the second hearing aid. I'm paying for half of a hearing aid, depending on what the doctor prescribed. We're getting requests for doctors, for podiatrists.
For food, to walk sometimes because of bluishness of my eye, for apartments, sometimes for electricity. And I was very grateful to Jewish Family Service, who did a great job, and even during COVID. And I'm deeply grateful to Rachel that she understood my needs. It helps me a lot.
After many happy years, my father has passed and Mom still chooses to remain in her home. As difficult as things have gotten due to age and sickness, with the wonderful and caring help of JFS, we are able to fulfill her wishes of remaining in her home. JFS has been a tremendous help and resource for our family and for Mom especially. From financial support for daily necessities or medical help to providing fresh Shabbos meals every Friday and holidays, JFS has certainly made her and our lives better and sweeter. We thank all those at JFS as well as the community at large for their caring and big hearts. We are so proud to be a part of this wonderful community and its responsibility to Tikkun Olam.
3, 2. Welcome back. So you've now heard the last of our programs that we're going to talk about tonight. So the only thing between you and Rabbi Brockman is me. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be talking about how we pay for all those programs. As you saw, JFS does a lot of things. JFS is the safety net of our community. It provides for those who don't have enough food, for those who are elderly, for those who are homeless. It helps out people of all different groups and all different religions. It's the opportunity, and it can only happen through your support. Tonight we have about 250 registrations turned into this. Could be more than one in the house. Oh, excuse me, this is embarrassing. Just hang on a second. Oh, I lost it. There we go. Hello? I'm live with JFS here. Really? Okay, I will tell them. Thank you very much. Although I don't know how you got this phone number, but thank you. So that, I'm embarrassed I left the phone on, but I guess it was for a good reason. That was someone who just anonymously donated $10,000 for tonight as a match. So we just gave you an opportunity. There's about 250 of you out there. And what would be wonderful is if each one of you could give us at least $100. That would be another $25,000, and would give us a total for the overall of over $130,000. And we can see, we can see as people give the money. Now you should have just received a link that you can use to give, and you also can go to the registration tonight and hit refresh. Is that yes? That's right. And then for those of you who can't do either of those things, there's a phone number, which is, where's the phone number? The phone number is up now. So you can call that number, and we have hundreds of people standing by to take your calls and to thank you for doing this. We know there's a lot of organizations, worthy organizations out there, but you all are people who have supported JFS. That's why you're watching tonight. You all knew about a lot of these programs. You've been involved with a bunch of these programs. This is our opportunity to let us continue to do the good works that we've been doing, to reach the people we need to reach and have the resources to be able to do that. This is that moment. So I'm asking you again, I can't see you all, but I can see the phones lighting up and I can see the gifts coming in. We have our little board there and the gremlins are doing whatever they do with that. And so I can see that we've already gotten 50 gifts. I can't see exactly how much they are, but I can see the 50 gifts, which means that 20% of you have done this. So I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, I'm begging you, I've run out of words to say, please, please give now. Give what you can. Food for Kids is a program that provides supplemental food each week, and $234 provides one child with food for 34 weeks, $234. We're feeding over 500 children now. we'd like to feed 1,000. There's no limit to the number of children we can serve. Mental health programs. There's no limit to how much more we can do if we're able to have the resources to do that. Okay, you're looking at the graphic now, so you can see that the kosher food program, 3 months will be $10,000. Now, this is just illustrations of what it can buy, but you can see that this money makes a significant difference to many people. JFS is, and I'll say it over again, is a safety net. Its programs span many generations. It's not just one program for one generation. Instead, it helps people throughout, from young to old. This is the moment you've been watching for all this time, and I know you really want to see Rabbi Brockman, but he just said that if the people will give, he'll wait. He'll let me, no, actually made a sign to cut me off, but instead, he'll wait until we get everybody to give. So I'm sure you'd rather hear Rabbi Brockman than listen to me. So please, I'm asking you now, if you haven't done it, please just $100. We'll take a lot more, or we'll take less if that's what you can give. But if we can get $100 from each one of you, it'll be $25,000 more, in addition to the $10,000 gift that we just got anonymously. And thank you very much, though I still want to know how he got my phone number. So thank you so much for your support, for what you've done for JFS previously, for what you're going to do for JFS in the future. And all I can say is, God bless and thank you very much for what you've done. And we're up to about 100. So you can continue to give while Rabbi Brockman's talking. He would be very happy if you do that. So we'll cut back now to Rabbi Brockman, and thank you very much. But please keep giving. Thank you, and good evening.
Thank you to Jewish Family Services of Greater New Haven for inviting me to offer a word of gratitude for Rabbi Herbert Brockman, his family, and Congregation Mishkan Israel. My dear brother Herb, you have broken bread with me, and together we have joined hands and hearts around the table at your home and in New York City. We have prayed together during services at Mishkan Israel around the Greater New Haven area community, and we've done so in Bosnia. You and your family have embraced me and my family and offered me support as a colleague during the time I served as chaplain of Yale University. The words of the Apostle Paul from my religious tradition states, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. My friend Herb, you have helped me to think of such things, and you have inspired me to strive to embody their meaning. Blessings, my friend, and peace.
Hi, Herb. It's my honor to share a few words and to congratulate you on this special honor that Jewish Family Service has bestowed upon you. And by bestowing it upon you, they bestow it on us as a community. For you are truly one of the excellent rabbinic leaders in the Greater New Haven Jewish community, and for that matter, in the Connecticut community and in the community of Reform rabbis throughout the United States and the world. We appreciate the leadership that you have offered, and that in your time of retirement from Congregation Mishkan Israel, that you took on the responsibility to become a board member of Jewish Family Service is truly a gift to us all. I'm thinking as I reflect on this great honor for you and the importance of rabbinic leadership on an agency board like JFS, of the work that our dear friend and colleague of blessed memory, Jerry Brieger, did almost 2 decades ago, also for Jewish Family Service, as a member of the board and eventually as the president of its board. I wish you continued success and JFS continued success as we try to meet the needs of all those in need in our community. Mazel tov, keep up the great work. You are an outstanding leader and a dear friend.
To be sure, many people have much to say about Herb Brockman. And a few choice words came to me, and then one stuck. It's the word faith, used in so many ways in both religious and secular contexts. A thing to have, a commitment to live out. I have seen and experienced both in acronym form, doubly referenced in Herb, through his focus and in his friendships, in his activism and authenticity, in his intellect and intentions, and yes, in his humanity and humility. Faith. In Hebrew, the word is emunah. I didn't learn that word in seminary. My understanding of the word came through an internet search. But from Herb, I saw it in action for myself. Many times, and especially at one moment in Christian Community Action's history. It was in 1999. Our building at 168 Davenport Avenue caught fire. I have forgotten all about this, and you can imagine why. The anguish, the distress, the adjustments, the uncertainty, all of the adjustments that we had to make in the ways in which we provided services to people in need. But one thing I will never forget was when Herb arrived at the front door with a bouquet of flowers in his hand. Faith in action is what I saw that day. In a tradition that if I read, wrote, and understood the true meaning of that Hebrew word, emunah, which is an unconscious influence in our lives, I would say in his life that day, I saw it. That which nurtures and gently guides us on our journey through this world. Herb, who is a friend in fun, in faith, and in fellowship, as well as in fact, and in the ministry that has made and continues to make a difference. It is my pleasure to present Rabbi Herbert Brockman, my friend in faith.
Thank you so much. Thank all of you for joining us this evening. It's very special and really a sacred opportunity we have here this evening. And I'm very grateful to all of you. I was thinking on my way coming here how I would express my gratitude to all of you for coming and joining us in this sacred mission of supporting the work of Jewish Family Service. And as I was thinking about that, my wife, who often comes up with both her wit and wisdom, suggested that they will have spent about an hour listening to other people speak. Perhaps you can express your gratitude by being short. So let me try and do that. But at the same time, to thank all of those who took time out of their schedule to pay me tribute and by doing so help in the work of Jewish Family Service. What I thought I would do this evening is really tell you how it is that I came to be part of the Jewish Family Service family. And that's what I really consider it. This is a very important occasion. Actually, for me, began 50 years ago. It was exactly 50 years ago this year that when I began my first pulpit experience in Baltimore, Maryland, one of the things, and I came to serve Baltimore Hebrew congregation, and one of the things that I believed was that it was necessary for a rabbi not only to serve a congregation, the small community that they particularly serve, but more importantly, the larger community as well. And so therefore, it was important to become involved. And I looked around and tried to figure out what interested me in some of the programs that I saw the community being involved in. And at that time, the Jewish Family and Children's Service, I believe it was called that back then, they had a special program called Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And so I went to sign up. There I was, a 27-year-old young man, and I offered to take on a young, perhaps adolescent. And they had a different suggestion for me. They said that since you're a rabbi, we have an idea. We're starting this program in the prisons of Maryland. Would you would you serve as a kind of chaplain to the Jewish residents of the Maryland State Penitentiary? And I began really a 6-year program there, having High Holy Day services and Passover Seder services celebrating the redemption of individuals, which I found suddenly much more meaningful. I can still hear the clang of the metal doors as I entered into the prisons and it shut behind me. I can still feel a chill coming up. So Jewish Family Service was part of my rabbinic career from 50 years ago. And then it came time for me to retire, and I wondered, what should I be doing with the time following my retirement? A friend of mine, some of you may know Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. He's the senior associate dean at the School of Management, and it just happens that his expertise is on leadership. And he's produced one of his works, one of his studies had to do with the transition of people in the business world. And in his book, he has 5 suggestions for those that are approaching transition in their lives. Number 1 was to start planning for succession from the very beginning. The second was to resist temptation to interfere once you've left your business, or your pulpit in this case. Number 3, don't be afraid to try bold, fresh adventures. Number 4, respect the independent schedule of your spouse. My wife appreciates that. And number 5, be ready to say no thanks. Obviously, I don't always succeed. Here I am standing here speaking this evening. And I listened to those 5 suggestions and I began to ask myself, really, now what? What will fit me in terms of that? Other people began to make personal suggestions. One, of course, said, take up a hobby. One said, write a book. Just don't use your congregants' real names in the book. Another one said, run for office. Rosa, don't worry. You have nothing to worry about. Next, learn another language. Paint, garden, begin to garden. And for me, while all of these seem to be really interesting suggestions, but I started by looking at Professor Sonnenfeld's 5 principles. How could I continue to contribute and to those causes that I had dedicated 49 years, not only of my professional life, but my personal life as well? How could I do that in my remaining years that would be active in this community? Where would I continue to serve the causes that were most important to me? What of the many wonderful organizations, and there are so many, Jewish and interfaith and non-Jewish, secular organizations, where should I be spending my effort and my energy? And I came back to that experience that I had 50 years ago when I learned so much about the extent of the Jewish community and the larger community while I worked as the chaplain at the Maryland State Penitentiaries. And it was a really wonderful experience. But what it came down to was the mission of Jewish family service. The mission of Jewish family service, to my mind, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, bringing comfort and consolation to the mourner, to those who have lost a loved one. All of those jumped out at me because they are biblical in their origin. And so while I think of a rabbi as a teacher, someone who attempts to bring the values of Judaism to his community and encourage them to participate and to perform the work of those values that they hold so dear, Jewish family service is the embodiment of the commitment of the biblical imperative. So one day, I talked to a couple of friends. You've seen several of them on the video this evening, Rabbi Summers and Rabbi Steve Steinberg. And we decided that we would have lunch and I would speak to them because both of them had retired from their communities. And I wondered if I could learn something from them. So we decided that we would meet for lunch. And I asked them, where do you want to meet? And they said, well, let's meet on Wednesday. We can go to a restaurant around Whaley Avenue, but a Wednesday's a good day because the two of them work in the pantry, the JFS food pantry. I thought that was kind of interesting. So I went down to meet them for lunch and I was standing there. And here were the two rabbis, the teachers, two of the teachers, Jewish teachers of the community. And what they were doing was not just handing out food to obviously people in need. They were not only helping to fulfill their stomachs, but they were also giving them a word of welcome. They were saying something to them because they had seen them every Wednesday or every other Wednesday or however often they came there to participate in the pantry. And they would say something friendly to them. And by doing so, what they were saying was that while you may be diminished in some of your resources, you're not diminished in your humanity. We think of you and we are so glad to see you come in here. And then they would hand out the food. And it occurred to me that Judaism asks us two things. To learn those values, to integrate those values into your life, but more importantly, to do the values. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, a great rabbi, once said that for some people value sacred things. Judaism values sacred actions. And in fact, how true that is. Here were the two rabbis doing what they do best, teaching the values, exemplifying the values, and Jewish family service embodying those very values. So in a way, when I think about the staff of the Jewish family service, I think of the rabbi teachers and the priests. They're like the priests of the community, performing the rituals and the obligations that jump out at us from the very Torah itself. That's what I wanted to help support. It seemed to me that that was such an important mission. And then, so I joined the board of Jewish Family Service. And then this past year, if I would have had any doubts, my doubts would have disappeared. We as a community were going through so many challenges. We were suffering from a pandemic. We were experiencing fear. Some of us were experiencing the loss of loved ones, others the loss of their jobs, the loss of their incomes and the inability to support their families during that time. And what was Jewish Family Service doing? They were thinking about, what can we do about this? Now, why is that important? Because as someone on the board acknowledged, and I will never forget this, because how important it was, the staff of JFS were going through exactly the same fears, the same deprivations, the same concerns, the same Yet they were able to think about how they could contribute, how they could be the priests of the Jewish community, and they could perform those sacred deeds to help feed the hungry, clothe the naked, give comfort to those families that were in such strife. So if I had any doubt that I have made a great choice to follow on my role as a rabbi in this community, it is to continue to serve the Jewish Family Service. And I am so grateful to all of you for your support, and I hope you will continue to support. It doesn't end just this evening, but it continued to wait. But I have a couple special words of thank you I want to offer to Hedda and to Eileen, who were really responsible. Here they are, sitting here. Very responsible for putting together the program. I don't know how the two of you did it, but you were always there for us, answering questions that we might have, and of course, following your fearless and indomitable leader, Amy Rashba, who's always out there helping us, keeping us straight, and ensuring that we will continue to continue to serve this community as long as you all share it with us. Thank you so much for the honor that you have bestowed upon me, and the honor that, if I can return it, the honor that I would like to give to you. And I very much appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Please join us
For a toast.
to Rabbi Brockman.
L'chaim.
Spring Celebration Committee, Joe Atla, Linda Kaplan, Dahlia Coleman, Heidi Gold, Laura Ellman, Sandy Friedman, Cindy Papish-Gerber, Shelley Greengarden, Marnie Smith-Katz, Jay Miles, Jill Nathanson, our CEO, Amy Rashba, and Robin Seipold. I'd also like to thank Linda Kaplan, Laura Ellman, Sandy Friedman, Amy Rashba, Robin again, and our wonderful staff, Kathy Siegel, Marietta Tucker, and of course, Rick and Debbie Epstein, our volunteers in the food pantry, and for Food for Kids, and of course, the Federation and Foundation.
First, I want to thank Rabbi Brockman for allowing us to honor him. This has been a wonderful experience. Whoever made the shidduch between Rabbi Brockman and JFS did something very good and very valuable. We love you, Herb. I want to thank Congregation Mishkan Israel, Rabbi Brian Immerman and Marav Kanan for allowing us to use this wonderful space that's so meaningful to so many of us. I want to thank my buddy Jay Miles, there he is, who's done the video producing and has worked so tirelessly for what seems like so long. It's months. We thank you, Jay. You went above and beyond. Thank you to all who sent the wonderful tributes, including Rosa DeLauro and Benita Grubbs. They were terrific. All the guests and donors who helped make this a successful event. And don't stop now. We are still accepting contributions. It is an honor to be able to accept them on behalf of JFS. This is a labor of love. Finally, I want to announce that JFS will be making a contribution to the Rabbi Herbert N. Brockman Rabbinic Endowment Fund at Congregation Mishkan Israel in Herb's honor. Thank you so much.
Sort of. Everybody else is leaving. And most of you have probably turned off already. But anyway, thank you so much for participating with us tonight. Thank you for your support tonight of JFS and for your ongoing support. And as was just said, the lines are still open to give, but thank you so much. Have a good evening. Stay safe, and God bless. Good night.
Thank you, Rick. Good night, everyone.